Hey everybody, it's Paul with CDA Software. We're going to go ahead and get started today with our video. And today's video is one of four-part video on how to set up and implement CDA commissions. So let's go ahead and get started with today's video, which is everything you need to know about settings for CDA commissions. So there's going to be two areas that we're specifically going to look at in today's video. The first area is going to be under Utilities, and it's going to be System Settings. The second area where we're going to be paying attention to is going to be Employees, then the Employee Table, and then last but not least, where you will run reports after we do our settings is we're just going to go to Reports. We're going to go to Invoice Reports, and right over here it says Employee Commissions Report. So we'll be taking a look at that on what that looks like when we toggle on and off different settings in the employee profile. But to get started, let's go ahead and pay attention to the first settings that we need to be aware of for commissions. And so that's going to be under Utilities, System Settings, and let's go ahead and click on that. Alright, so here we are. We're in the system setting, and what you'll notice is we have an area right over here that's specifically set up for commissions. So underneath commissions, we have three different radial buttons that we can select from. We can say Auto Calculate Commissions when job is completed, Auto Calculate Commissions when the job is marked paid, or do not auto calculate commissions. We want to, as a company, go ahead and calculate it manually. So for system settings, for commissions, you have three different radial buttons that you can select from. When the job is complete, when the job is marked paid, or when you manually want to do it. So let's go ahead and start off for when a job is completed. What does that mean? What does that look like? So what we're going to do, let's go back to our claim. So we are going to say we selected auto calculation when a job is completed. So now let's go ahead, bring up a claim. So here's our claim, and you'll notice it's checked completed. So when you're in the billing tab and you mark a job as complete and you have that system set for auto completion, auto calculate on a completed job, that means when this checkbox is checked, we're going to go ahead and calculate commissions for you so that you can pay your technicians. Now let's go ahead and take another look at the other option in system settings. So here we are, we're at auto calculate when job is paid. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and pull up a claim and see where that setting is so that we can become familiar with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a claim, and here we are. It says paid in full. So again, I'm in the billing tab. It says paid in full, and in my system settings, when I say auto calculate for paid in full, or paid as it says, that means this checkbox has been checked. So let's go ahead, take a look at that again, and there you go. So auto calculate when job is paid, we go to a claim, we're in the billing tab, paid in full is selected. That means you now have the correct attributes to where you can auto calculate your commissions for your technicians. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that last setting. And again, our last setting says do not auto calculate commissions. And what that means you will manually do it. Now on our setting video for today, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but on our number 2 video, I will show you how to implement calculations manually. So that's going to go ahead and show you everything you need to know for system setup. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the employee setup. So again, we're going to do the employee setup now for commissions. So I'm in Utilities, and now I'm going to go to Employees, and I'm going to say Add Edit Employee Table. Alrighty, so here we are. We're in the employee setup, and this is for our technician Paul. And what we're going to do is we're first going to look at this area up here, and then we're going to come down to this area right here where it says Invoice Reports, and we're going to look at a few settings over here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to say for any technician, or for this technician, we want to enable calculate commission. So that means we first have to have this checkbox checked. So we set up our system settings, then we go ahead, we turn on this. This means we're now going to calculate commissions. Now we have 4 different categories that we can calculate commissions for. We can do it based upon labor, based upon parts, based upon a diag, or for other charges. So we can toggle each of these independently. You can have them all checked. You can have every other one checked. For our demo, we're going to make sure that we have them all checked so we can make sure everything works correctly in a live demo. And then we're going to come over here in this red text. It says, hey, if you're going to do 15%, you enter it as 0.15. For our demo, we're going to keep it simple and just do 20%. And we're going to do it across the board so we can do calculations quicker when we're looking at the demo. So 20% is going to be 0.20. And again, we did that for all of our rates for commission. So this is the second part that you need to enable, is enable commissions, and then figure out what works best for your particular company. And then the next thing we're going to take a look at once we have that set up is that you want to make sure for all of your employees, not just your technicians, because they may or may not have access to the desktop app, but for those employees that do have access to the desktop app and you as a company have enabled calculate commissions, there may be some employees that you want to have access to information that's related to the commissions report, and there may be other employees that you don't want to have access. So what we need to show you is there are 2 settings. The first one is called Employee Commissions Report. That means, does this employee have access to run a report for employee commissions? That's what that means, and I'll show you a demo. And the other one says, restrict this employee from running commission reports for other employees. So what that means, let's just say I'm Paul. Restrict Paul from running commission reports on other employees. Yes, that means if I run a report, I will only see Paul's. If it said no, it means I can see everyone's in the company. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like in a live demo when these are selected as no. Okay, so the first thing we want to take a look at is we're going to say, give access to the employee commissions report. It says no. So what this should mean is that when I go to the reports menu, I shouldn't be able to access the commissions report. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so here we are, and we're looking at the first preference setting, which we had set to no, which was run a commissions report. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to reports, we're going to say invoice reports, and we're going to say employee commission report. And so you'll notice we said no, you cannot have access. So we have this prompt, and that's preventing us from even getting into the reports. So now we're going to go ahead and say okay. And what we're going to do is let's go back to the employee setup. I'm going to click on that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say give this employee access to the commissions report, but now we're going to say restrict this employee, so restrict Paul from running the commissions report for other employees. We're going to say no. So that what that means is that means I should be able to get into the commissions report and run a report for all the employees in the organization. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go to reports. We're going to say invoice reports, employee commissions. So we're just going to go ahead, click on that. And then you'll notice it allowed us, or allowed me to go ahead. If I wanted to, I can run reports for all the employees because I have everything selected. So if I just did a select all, set run, it would go ahead and run a report for everyone. So that's what that looks like. Okay, so now lastly, let's go ahead and let's say restrict this employee Paul from running the commissioning reports for other employees. So now we're going to say yes. So now what should happen is we should go to run the report, but we can only run it for the tech called Paul. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the reports, invoice reports, and we're going to say employee commission reports. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to move this up here, and you'll notice it says we are now restricted to only running the report for this particular user. So if I go ahead and say submit, it will go ahead and run the report for this particular user. And so that will conclude today's video on how to set up the commission report settings so you can get started with your organization.